We will start.
Yes, Prabhu.
So if I go 2-3 minutes above, it's okay, no?
Yeah, it's fine, Prabhu. Yeah.
Okay. So how do I minimize now? Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayam Dhiraye Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatiruttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namah Namo Pankaja Nabhaya Namo Pankaja Maline Namo Pankaja Netraya Namaste Pankajangre Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Guru Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanyam Ishwaram Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarine Vancha Kalpatarubhascha Kripa Sindhubhe Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Yonta Pravishya Mama Vachamimam Prasuptan Sanjeevayat Akila Shakti Dhara Swadhamna Anyam Shahasta Charana Shravana Tvagadin Prana Namo Bhagavate Purushaya Tubhyam Katanjana Smrite Yasmin Duskaram Sukaram Bhavet Vismrite Viparitam Sya Sri Chaitanya Namamitam Hare Krishna. Everybody can hear me, I am hoping. And I want to offer my sincere gratitude to all of you, especially to Mohan Lila Prabhu, who kind of asked me for this class. And today morning he was appreciating Vamsidhari Prabhu very much and telling me how he took the initiative of Srimad Bhagavatam and all devotees are now coming together. So I really want to thank all of you for coming every morning for Bhagavatam. This is not easy because devotees are, you are all grahasthas, I guess, and you have a lot of responsibilities. Still, you are coming every day to hear, study Bhagavatam. And then he told me that in the evening also, some devotees read Bhagavatam every day, one page at least. So these are all amazing, inspiring examples. And devotees in Chowpatty will be very inspired when I share this with them. I already shared this news with some of my devotees who give nice Bhagavatam classes in temple. And this is very inspiring. My heartfelt gratitude. And I pray and hope that this continues. So because Bhagavatam is the shelter for all devotees, you know, Sanatan Goswami has told us in his beautiful prayer, Madeka Bandhu, Mat Sangi, Mat Guru, Mat Mahadana, Mat Nistaraka, Mat Bhagya, Madananda Namostute. Srila Sanatan Goswami has said that my biggest guru, my shelter, Madeka Bandhu, Mat Sangi, my best friend is Bhagavatam. Madeka Bandhu, Mat Sangi, my best associate is Bhagavatam. Mad Guru, my guru is Bhagavatam. Mad Mahadhana, my greatest wealth is Srimad Bhagavatam. Mat Nistaraka, my deliverer from material world is Srimad Bhagavatam. Madananda, Namostute, my greatest source of happiness is Srimad Bhagavatam. We are living at an age in Kali Yuga when people are more interested in stimulation than satisfaction. We are interested in the dopamine kicks that we get through our electronic gadgets. So at such an unfortunate period in mankind's history, when devotees come together to experience deep connection with Krishna, this is very, very inspiring. And I'm very grateful to all of you for this. I would like to take today and tomorrow, discuss one topic on the power of Srimad Bhagavatam, the power of Srimad Bhagavatam or glories of Srimad Bhagavatam, or maybe we can say the what of Srimad Bhagavatam and how of Srimad Bhagavatam. So before we discuss the philosophy, I want to take one case study. Now, generally in spiritual life or even in material life, in corporate organizations, they give a concept, they give a theory, then they give case study to explain. So let us go other way around. Let us first take a case study which shows the power of Krishna Katha or power of connecting to Krishna. And this case study we will take from Srimad Bhagavatam itself. And one of the best case studies we find is of Arjuna. Arjuna, the greatest warrior who had never lost a battle in his life, comes back completely shattered after Krishna has left this world. He was not able to protect the queens of Krishna, and some infidel cowherd men completely humbled him. And he is totally bewildered, lost, confused. He has lost all his effulgence, his power. And in such a weak state and helpless state, Arjuna gets a second life. Because of what? That's very important. Tadvai Danushta Ishava Sarato Hayaste. Arjuna is lamenting that I have the same bow, the same arrow, the same horses, everything is same, but Krishna is not there. Because Krishna is left, I'm feeling completely lost. I'm completely shattered. So Krishna is that one factor who was giving everything substance to Arjuna. So when Krishna is absent from our life, Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport that without Krishna's mercy, everything is like a child's play. Everything can disappear. Some of the greatest powerful warriors, powerful sportsmen, powerful men and women of this world, by the power of time, they have been humbled. So we have actually, in one lecture, Srila Prabhupada says, we are so proud of our eyes. We can see beautiful objects if we have eyes, but if there is no light, if there is no sun, and if there is no light in your room, if electricity, the external electricity is not available, external light is not available, with the best eyes, can you see anything? We can't see anything. Even if we have the most beautiful eyes, you may be called Meenakshi or Kamala Lochana. You may have the most beautiful eyes in the world, but without external light, we cannot see anything. So this is how material world is. We are completely helpless without Krishna's mercy. And Arjuna realizes this. And the Bhagavatam describes when Arjuna was in that state of extreme distress and dejection, which again is an indicator of how we all will also go through this. However powerful we are, time will humble us, time will take away all our opulences. And then at that moment, what will give us shelter? Srila Prabhupada said that what life is a preparation, death is an examination. Death is that point when we will be tested. Art of Living is a famous organization in India, but our movement is also teaching not only art of living, we are also teaching art of leaving, because how devotional we are, how spiritual we are will be tested when we don't have what we are holding on to now. And Arjuna is such a great example that when he was in that distress, what helped him? Sutta Goswami reveals in the first canto of Bhagavatam, Deshakalartha yuktani rittapo pashamani cha haranti smaratas chittam govinda hitani me. Deshakalartha yuktani. Krishna, remembering Krishna's instructions and Krishna Katha is so powerful that Desha Kala Artha Yuktani. Yuktani means impregnated. Hrittapo Pashamanicha. Krishna Katha is impregnated with the potency of Hrittapa Upashamanicha, the potency to give relief to the burning heart. Haranti smaratas Govinda bhitanime. The instructions of Krishna or the instructions on Krishna, about Krishna, instructions of Krishna and instructions about Krishna have so much power that at any time, any place, and any circumstances, Desha Kalartha Yuktani Hrit Tapo Upashamani Cha, the heart can be pacified. This is how Arjuna was pacified, because he started remembering Krishna's instructions. And that's how Haranti Smaratas Chittam. The power of Krishna Katha is that it can give mind, it can pull away the mind from sense objects, and it can give us peace in spiritual practices. So therefore, this is very, very powerful verse in the first canto, which is one of my favorites. In fact, what happens when we take shelter of Krishna, especially when we are distressed and when we are failing, or when material life becomes overwhelming? We all go through situations, I'm sure, in life when life gets overwhelming. So at such times, what happens? The next verse reveals the science behind what happened to Arjuna. It says, Evam chintayato jishno Krishna pada saroruham Saurdenati gadena Shanta sid vimalamati Evam chintayato jishno. So when Arjuna, now this is Arjuna's case study being explained by Sutta Goswami. So what happened to Arjuna is, as he was remembering the instructions of Krishna, Evam chintayato jishno Krishna pada saroruham. So Krishna's lotus feet began to expand in the heart. Saroruham means a lotus flower. You know, the lotus flower, we have seen in the morning how the lotus flower blooms. You know, it starts expanding, it opens its petals. Similarly, when we connect with Krishna, Krishna's lotus feet starts expanding, our heart expands. In the sense, Krishna, we become Krishnized. That's like an iron put in fire. Srila Prabhupada's famous example. Iron put in fire becomes fiery and accepts and adapts the properties of the fire. Similarly, when devotees remember Bhagavatam and have Bhagavatam discussions, that leads to remembrance of Krishna's lotus feet, which expands in the heart. Evam chintayato jishno Krishna pada saroruham. And then what happens? Saurdenati gadena. Sahurda. The friendship with Krishna becomes very deep. Saurdenati gadena shanta sid. We become peaceful. Vimala mati. Mati, our intelligence has a lot of mala, contamination. That contamination goes away, and there is Vimala mati. There is peace experienced in our heart. So this is an amazing, amazing example. This is Sutta Goswami declaring this after explaining Arjuna's case study, that if we hear about Krishna, in fact, then he says after this, the next verse he says that Arjuna, remembering Krishna's instructions, increased and improved his remembrance of Krishna. And if we remember Krishna, then two things will happen. See, it is a science. Many of us have struggling to remember Krishna because material energy is overwhelming for us. But if we hear Bhagavatam, then that Bhagavatam study will increase and lead to remembrance of Krishna. And when there is remembrance of Krishna, Vasudevangri anudhyana paribhrammitaram hasa bhaktya nirmatita shesha kashaya tishanorjuna. Sutta Goswami says Arjuna is the best example for two things that happen when we remember Krishna. Vasudevangri anudhyana, lotus feet of Vasudeva, when we anudhyana, when we remember, paribhrammita, one thing expands in the heart. Ramasa, ramasa means a great force. With a great force, something expands in the heart. What is expanding? Bhaktya, devotional service to Krishna, expands in the heart. Bhaktya nirmatita shesha. And the second thing that happens in heart is ashesha, unlimited kashaya, contamination, dishanorjuna. It evaporates. The unlimited contaminations of the heart start evaporating, and devotional service to Krishna starts expanding, and both of them happen with Ramahasa, with the great force. When hearing all of this, we may say, Sutta Goswami is giving this case study and he's saying, Kashaya Dishano Arjuna. So Arjuna is the best example of this. Arjuna is the best example. Repeatedly, in this case study, Sutta Goswami is quoting Arjuna as the example. When we hear this, devotees may say, well, Arjuna was lucky, he had personal association of Krishna, whereas we don't get that association. So it is not easy for us to remember Krishna, Krishna's instructions, Krishna's friendship. But therefore, in the next verse, Sutta Goswami appeals to us that we also can experience same thing what Arjuna experienced. Gitam Bhagavatam Jnanam Yattat Sangrama Murdina Kala Karma Tamo Ruddham Punar Adhyagamat Prabhu. This is a very, very powerful verse where Sutta Goswami declares that Gitam Bhagavatam Jnanam, the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, Gitam Bhagavatam Jnanam will help us where? Yattat Sangrama Murdina. Sangrama Murdina means battlefield of life. We are all fighting a battle. Right now, at 8 o'clock, you have to rush to your workplace. Some of you are Matajis, you have to rush to either work or you have to take care of your kids, your offices, your kitchen, your home responsibilities. It's a battlefield out there. But if we hear Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, Gitam Bhagavatam Jnanam Yattat Sangrama Murdina, then what will happen? Then we will be able to navigate ourselves through three powerful forces of material world which are constantly attacking us. See, all of us, without an exception in this world, we are being attacked by three people. Kala Karma Tamo Ruddham Punaradhyagamat Prabhu. Kala. One is time is constantly attacking us. One lecture of Prabhupada, Hindi lecture. So I'm sure all of you follow Hindi a little bit at least. Prabhupada says in that Hindi lecture, कोई भी व्यक्ति बूढ़ा नहीं होना चाहता है, पर प्रकृति सबको चुपचाप बूढ़ा बना देती है. Nobody wants to become old, but material energy makes everyone, quietly she makes everyone old. So the point is, Kala, time is extremely powerful, which is constantly debilitating our existence. Second is karma. Our karma will come back to us, whatever we have done in the past. Our past determines our present. So the present will be somehow affected. It will come back. Kala, karma, tamo, ruddham. And tama is the darkness or ignorance is constantly attacking us. We generally slip many times. Devotees are unable to choose Krishna over Maya. But still our case is not hopeless. Although we can't choose Krishna over Maya always, we can always choose to seek forgiveness from Krishna. We can always choose to come back to Krishna. We can always choose to seek redemption from Krishna. We can always take permission from Krishna, even if we want to flirt with material energy. The point I'm saying is not that we should associate with material energy. The point is Krishna is always available. And especially when Kala, Karma, Tamo, Ruddham, when these three attack, what happened to Arjuna? Sutta Goswami says, Punaradhyagamat Prabhu. Arjuna became Prabhu. Arjuna again, Punadhyagamat means Arjuna again got control over his senses. Prabhupada translates Prabhu here as somebody who has control over his senses. He's the master of his senses. So Arjuna apparently had lost control. He had actually become weak. But in this particular situation, Arjuna got back control of his life. In fact, devotees, as the outside world gets overwhelming, many of us are suffering more than external. We are suffering internally because we lose the locus of control. We feel helpless. So we need to feel a sense of stability in our lives. When we're talking about control, we are basically talking about stability. And stability is the biggest human need. Satchit Ananda, one of the things that we need in the material world is stability, certainty. So in an uncertain world, when anything can go topsy-turvy anytime, Srimad Bhagavatam provides that anchor. Remembrance of Krishna gives that anchor. That stable center of our life is Krishna. And Arjuna is the classic case study. And Sutta Goswami is reassuring us that if we have Gita Bhagavatam Jnanam, then we can navigate through the battlefield of life. And we can handle the attacks of Kala, Karma and Tamo. So this is one of the most powerful examples, case studies. Now, having studied this case study, we can now explore the two topics that I wanted to discuss, rather three. What exactly is Srimad Bhagavatam? And then how do we approach Srimad Bhagavatam? And what are the different benefits that we can get from studying Srimad Bhagavatam? So in the what part, I would just like to quote two verses, which are my favorites, because before the class, I saw the format of this class. You know, it's so beautiful. Mohan Lila Prabhu shared with me, and I have it in front of me. It was very nice about what are your favorite sections of Bhagavatam, what is Prabhupada's sacrifice you like the most, or all those things. Questions are very nice. So my favorite two verses which gives me hope on Srimad Bhagavatam is this. One is Krishna Sadamo Pagate Jnana Dharma Bihi Saha Kalo Nashta Trishamesha Puranarko Dhnodita. So the Bhagavatam explains that when Krishna left this material world, Krishna went back to spiritual world. Krishna Swadama Upagate. Krishna went back. When Krishna went back, two things also went away with him. Jnana Dharma Bihi Saha. Jnana and Dharma also disappeared from this world, which means righteousness and knowledge, transcendental knowledge also went away. But Krishna is so kind that although he left this material world, Krishna Sadama Upagate Jnana Dharma Bihi Saha Kalo Nashtha Drishamesha, because knowledge, transcendental knowledge and righteousness left, people have become blind. Kalo Nashta Drisham, our vision has been impaired. But Krishna left behind Puran Arko Dhnodita. Purana, Srimad Bhagavatam, which is a Arka. Arka means sun. The sun of Bhagavatam will give us the light. And Dhnodita, it will remove all the darkness, all the ignorance. One of the biggest problems in the material world is darkness, in the sense ignorance, not knowing what is the cause of problems, right? When we have a problem and we don't have knowledge of the solution, and in that ignorance, when we try to solve the problem, our solution creates a bigger problem than the original problem. I know it's a little complicated sentence, but in simple words, what it means is, without transcendental knowledge, if we try to solve a problem, we will create a bigger problem. That is the message. Like, if somebody is blind, darkness, the verse here says, Nashta Drishamesha, the vision has been impaired. So when the vision is impaired, if a person has a sword in his hand in a dark room, it's a crowded dark room, everybody is sitting there, nobody is able to see anything, and a person has a sword in his hand and he starts swishing it and starts running around in the room, what will happen? He is going to harm himself and others. Similarly, we have access to most powerful technology nowadays, but we don't have transcendental knowledge. Martin Luther King Jr. said, we live in an age of guided missiles and misguided men. So we have a lot of technology, a lot of power, but we don't have transcendental knowledge. So in this situation, when we try to solve problems of this world, when we try to help, we are simply creating more material entanglement. We are creating more sufferings for the conditioned souls. Therefore, we need transcendental knowledge. We need the sun of Srimad Bhagavatam. Now, Bhagavatam is the light. Bhagavatam will remove all darkness. But that's not sufficient, because there may be tremendous light from the sun. But if we keep our eyes closed, still we don't get the effect. Srila Prabhupada writes in one purport in Kunti Maharani section that how sometimes people don't want to see Krishna. Krishna is appearing, but they close their eyes and they say, where is Krishna? They put the curtain in that verse, Maya Javani Kakshannam. Krishna is covered by the illusory potency. So sometimes, the sun is there, but we put curtains in our room and we can't see the sun. Or we close our eyes and we refuse to open the eyes. Similarly, Bhagavatam knowledge is there, but are we willing to be open-minded? Are we allowing ourselves to be influenced by the transcendental sound of Srimad Bhagavatam? Actually, association of Bhagavatam or association of devotees means willingness to be influenced. Are we willing or are we resisting? Are we vulnerable Are we surrendering? Or do we allow the sound vibration to reshape my desires? If we can do that, then this combination is the best combination. Then Bhagavatam will work. First is allowing Bhagavatam to enter our life, which is like allowing the sun to rise. Now, second is opening the curtain or opening the eyes. Both are needed. That means our willingness to receive Bhagavatam is needed, and secondly, Bhagavatam is needed. There are many people in this world who are very open-minded, who are very philosophically searching after truth. They are actually seekers. Unfortunately, however, they haven't come to Krishna. They haven't got Srimad Bhagavatam as yet. So although they are sincere, their eyes are wide open and they are searching, but they are not yet blessed with the gift of Srimad Bhagavatam. But we, in ISKCON, we are so blessed. We have got Srimad Bhagavatam, the sun has arisen. Kalo nashta dushamesha Puran Arka, the Arka of Bhagavatam has come. But the question is, the billion-dollar question is, are we keeping our eyes open to the sun of Srimad Bhagavatam? Are we accessing Srimad Bhagavatam? Or are we still living in the I space, I world, mind, me, mind, I, my family, my problems? Is this all my life is about? Or are we willing to enter Krishna's space, Krishna's world, Krishna's pastimes, the world of Srimad Bhagavatam? When we make this transition, this willingness to make this transition is when we allow Srimad Bhagavatam to enter our lives. And when we do that, when this combination happens, the sun of Srimad Bhagavatam rises and our eyes are open and we are receiving Bhagavatam, then what happens? Then Shukdev Goswami reveals, Nivrittatarshe Rupagiyamana Bhavo Shada Shrotra Mano Bhirama Kauttama Shloka Gunanuvadat Puman Virajyeta Vina Pashugna. He says, Tarsher, the hankering, the intense anxieties that we go through, Nivritta, it will go away. Nivritta Tarsher, when there is glorification of Krishna, Upagiyamana. And then he gives a very beautiful analogy. Nivritta Tarsher Upagiyamana Bhava Shada Shrotra Mano Virama. He says Bhagavatam is the Bhava Aushadhi, the medicine for material existence, which is taken from the ears. Bhava Shada Shrotra. This is, hearing is the way we take the medicine. Generally, we take the medicine from the mouth. But hearing is glorified so much in Bhagavatam that hearing is, hearing is both hearing. You can use the ears for hearing. You can also use the ear for seeing. Srila Prabhupada said, see through ears. And we can see through ears, we can hear through ears, and we can also drink through ears. So he's saying, there's another verse, Pibantiye Bhagavata Atmana Satam. So we drink Krishna nectar from the ears. So therefore, in this verse, Shukdev Goswami is saying, Nivrittatarsher Upagiyamana Bhava Shada Shrotra Mano Bhirama. So we hear and take the nectar of Bhagavatam through the ears, which acts as a medicine also, and it is also nectar. Generally in Ayurveda, medicine is not sweet, medicine is bitter. But Bhagavatam is a very special medicine, which is medicinal also and sweet also. Like when we were young, we liked, as a young boy, I remember, I used to be very fond of homeopathy medicines as a young boy. My father would sometimes give homeopathy medicine when we were sick. He would tell us, take these 3 small white balls. But we would take 8 or 9 small pieces because all homeopathy medicines were sweet. And it is amazing. It was healing also and it is sweet also. So, of course, homeopathic medicine is a perverted reflection of Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam is medicinal also and sweet also. Nivrittatarshe Rupagiyamana Bhavo Shada Shrotra Mano Bhirama Kauttama Shloka Gunanuvada. So therefore, Uttama Shloka, the Lord who is glorified in choice poetry, we have to constantly sing His glories and hear His glories. And who will not do this? Puman Virajyeta Vina Pashugna. The killer of the soul is the only one who will avoid Krishna Katha. So this is Srimad Bhagavatam. So to summarize what we discussed so far is We have discussed a case study of Arjuna, who was in great distress. He had material energy had overwhelmed him. He was confused. He was bewildered. And at that moment, what came to his rescue was remembrance of Krishna's instructions, which leads to remembrance of Krishna, and Krishna's lotus feet starts expanding in the heart, because of which our devotional service increases and our material contaminations reduce. And if we claim that we don't have Krishna's association like Arjuna had, then Sutta Goswami is reassuring us, Gitam Bhagavata Jnanam, Gita and Bhagavatam will be non-different from Krishna in our lives. After hearing Arjuna's case study, we then studied what exactly Srimad Bhagavatam. We discussed Bhagavatam is sun which has arisen to remove the darkness from material world in Kali Yuga, and it will remove irreligiousness and ignorance. But for the sun of Bhagavatam to arise, we also need to keep our eyes and ears open. We need to remove the curtain from our windows. So two things need to be there. We need to be spiritual seekers, which means our eyes has to be open. And we also need to be lucky enough to have Srimad Bhagavatam in our life. And we here are so fortunate that we have both. We have Srimad Bhagavatam and we're also open-minded. So let us grab this opportunity to take shelter of Srimad Bhagavatam. And then in the end, we discussed this famous verse from the Bhagavatam where Shukadeva Goswami says that Bhagavatam is the medicine which cures us, and also it is very sweet. Manobhiramat. Manobhiramat means it is very pleasing to the mind and also medicine. So this is what we will discuss today, and tomorrow as part 2 of this class, we will discuss how can we approach Srimad Bhagavatam and what is the principles of approaching Srimad Bhagavatam and what are the benefits of studying Srimad Bhagavatam every day. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Dandavat Pranam, Vraja Bihari Prabhu. I have heard about you many years, and one of the Hindi lectures, the way you gave was, even today it is evergreen. So when the moment I heard that Vraja Bihari Prabhu is coming to Naperville, I was very happy. Thank you for your association. Just a reflection, Prabhu. Some reflections I was thinking about is in the hala of this material world. The way, because when you're saying all this, I was just thinking about, maybe you can correct me. In this hala of the material world, where is this sunlight? So sunlight is there even in the Bowery, New York. Sunlight is there in the Mumbai, that slum area, right? Everywhere is there sunlight. It's actually sunlight is there every day. But is it purifying? Yes, it is purifying. But in that way, we don't know. And then we are actually in this material world, in that slum area or Bowery, we are trying to find a nectar, inspired to be happy, which we cannot find anywhere. But now Prabhupada given us this Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the complete light. And then the one which I really liked is seeing the nectar, drinking the nectar, hearing the nectar. So I was thinking the nectar, actually drinking the nectar and seeing the nectar is through the ears, our ears, the Srimad Bhagavatam, the way you explained. It's amazing. And thank you so much for your, I feel that some people, when they say, some devotees, when they speak, it touches our hearts. And I felt the same. Thank you so much for your association, Prabhu. One thing had Prabhu. Some of the Srimad Bhagavatams verses feel poetic, but is it really poetic, or is it really explaining what it is? I just had that question.
Both. It is poetic and it is also explaining, giving solutions. It is giving solutions very poetically. Like, Baraha Pidam Natavara Vapu Karanayo Karnikaram Vibrada Vasa Kanaka Kapisam Vajayanti Jama Randran Venur Adara Sudaya Parayan Gopa Vrinde. Shukdev Goswami could have said that Krishna is entering Vrindavan forest playing flute. He doesn't say like that. He says Randran Venur Adara Sudaya Parayan. Krishna is putting the nectar of his lips into the holes of the flute. So what is this? Is this poetic, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Krishna is putting the nectar of his lips into the holes of the flute. In other words, he's saying Krishna is playing flute. But Bhagavatam is very poetic. Even when Sukadeva Goswami is giving gali, he's giving bad words also to all of us many times.
Yes, yes.
He's chastising us. Chastisement is also very poetic. He says, Taravo kimna jeevanti, bhashtra kimna swasantuta, na khadanti na mehanti, kimgra me pashavo pare. You rascals, you are only interested in eating, sleeping, mating, defending. So, Taravo kimna jeevanti, do the trees not live a long life? Do the bellows of the blacksmith not breathe? And na khadanti na mehanti, do the animals in the village not eat and have sex? Kimgra. So what is your life worth? So instead of saying you are wasting your life, look at the way he's poetically giving gali. If somebody gives gali also in a very poetic way, we like it. So
Yes,
Srimad Goswami's chastisement is poetic. His glorification of Krishna is poetic, and it is true also. So the answer to your question is Bhagavatam is nectar, and everything in Bhagavatam is nectar, and it is poetic. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. That means we have heard many poems in our life, but those are not purifying. But this poem is purifying.
Yes.
Thank
Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, I have one question. There are many practices in our life that we follow, and especially for me, I'm a person who runs behind deadlines. And some practices really help, meaning we have to chant 16 rounds in a day. So at least at the end of the day, by the end of the day, we try to finish 16 rounds. If we're worshipping deities, there is arati that we perform. When it comes to Bhagavatam, I struggle because there is no deadline for it. Keep on postponing it, and how to overcome those things, Prabhuji.
There is two things, Prabhu. One is principle and one is practical. Well, remember the principle. The principle is Nityam Bhagavata Seva. If we don't study regularly, we will not get the effect of Bhagavatam. Just like if you are boiling water in a kettle, if the electricity supply comes only for 2 seconds and then it is gone for 5 seconds, then again it comes for 2 seconds, then it is gone for 10 seconds. Do you think the water will ever get boiled?
No, Prabhuji.
Yeah. So similarly, Bhagavatam study is like that. The constant supply of electricity, which means the consistency has to be there for Krishna, love of Krishna to boil in our heart, to arise in our heart. That is the principle. Now you may say practically what to do, because your question is practical question. Deadlines are not there, no obligation. During initiation, you didn't vow to your Guru Maharaj that you will read every day 5 minutes of Bhagavatam, right? So what do we do? So there are a few things you could do, Prabhu. One, you could try Zen Buddhist technique, which I really like. And I've practically implemented it in many areas of my life, which is take up one habit. Let's say, in this case, Bhagavatam study. First, take up one habit only. Don't have too many habits you want to cultivate. Secondly, keep it simple, which means make a habit of, okay, I will read only 2 minutes every day. You may say, probably 2 minutes is very less. Let me give 1 hour reading. No. Keep 2 minutes every day. Keep something very less. Stupid small steps. Something very small. First of all, only one habit you take. Secondly, keep a small target every day. And third, do it every day. If you do these 3 things, one habit only, small commitment, and every day, even if you are dying, don't stop doing that. Like that. So if you do like this, if you take these 3 steps and then 30 days, if you do this for 30 days, then it is guaranteed that it will become a habit. So isn't it great idea that if you read 2 to 5 minutes every day, at the end of 1 month, you would have read 3 hours of Bhagavatam, rather than having no commitment and reading one day, half an hour, and then not reading for 2 weeks, 3 weeks. So therefore, this is very good. And then eventually, because once it becomes a habit, then you will just pick up the Bhagavatam. I know one of my godbrothers is in Manchester now. As soon as he gets up from the bed in the night, early morning, when he wakes up, he just reads Bhagavatam for first 15 minutes. It has become a habit now. It's not that he's an ecstasy reading Bhagavatam. When something becomes a habit, you don't become ecstatic doing that. It just becomes a part of you. And the overall benefit of that habit is ecstasy. Like yoga also. For example, yoga, I started doing exercise because I said, okay, I will do only exercise. I'll focus on exercise for 1 month. And I will do only one Surya Namaskar, one push-up a day, only one push-up a day. And I will do it every day. So one day I was sleeping and I forgot, the whole day I was busy. In the night I remembered. So I got up in the bed, and the bed only I did one push-up. At least my mind, I pacified my mind that I'm doing it every day. So like that, once after 1 month, then it became a habit. Now I don't do it every day, but I do nicely, consistently I'm doing yoga. So similarly in Bhagavatam also, we can try this technique. And although you don't have deadlines, you can try reading a little Bhagavatam every day and only focus on Bhagavatam as a habit for 1 month. And then you will be able to make it internalize the reading of Bhagavatam.
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. That's very helpful, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Vraja Bihari Prabhu, Sri Vallabhadas here.
Hare Krishna, Sri Vallabh Prabhu.
Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much. I concur with everything that Balram Prasad Prabhu said. Thank you so much for your association. What really got me going was, the way you encapsulated the essence of the Srimad Bhagavatam so beautifully. The selection of your verses and how you strung them together in the context of the case study that you presented. And Arjuna has always been one of my top favorites. So, it all came together, and it was extremely insightful. So thank you so much for, keeping it so simple, talking about simplicity. You really made it simple, and you just brought it all together so nicely. Very encouraging, very inspiring. And like you said, we're all creatures of habit. Now, in Mohan Leela Prabhu's case, he may not set a deadline. He may not turn on, the electric, the heat through electricity every few seconds or not. But just by intensely looking at the Srimad Bhagavatam book set that he has at home, he can, literally boil the water that you're speaking about. He's an intense person, and he's a very committed person, a very committed individual, very inspiring. So that was a great example there. So thank you again for everything, Prabhu. Looking forward to your next few lectures. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much for your kind words of appreciation. I really feel grateful to all of you for coming together every day for Srimad Bhagavatam. This is amazing inspiration for me. I'm going to go back and talk about this to everyone in Chapati.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. This is Dhananjay Pandit Das. Please accept our humble obeisances. All glory to Prabhupada. Thank you very much for your itinerary included in Nepal. Actually, every lecture I just can't just single out this one or anything like that. Whenever you spoke, whatever the subject matter, specifically the latest one, which was available on ISKCON Desire Tree on 20th of August, that is Srila Prabhupada's appearance day, you spoke struggle of Srila Prabhupada in India and America. It was so fantastic, and everything when you're narrating, as if you're just seeing things in front of you, like what you call a running commentary, uninterrupted. It went on, and I think I must have heard that lecture at least 3 times until now, and every lecture, right from whatever is available in our ISKCON Desire Tree, I was hearing. Of course, that I'm not a selective kind of thing. I hear everything from the day one. Suppose January 1st, it was spoken by any of the speakers that I keep listening. I'm hearing those lectures because, as in you just now put it for reading, I have several times attempted daily reading, and sometimes I came up to 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, maybe, and then the Chaitanya Charitamrita, the Madhya Leela, and so on and so forth. I never succeeded in continuously reading, but hearing is the time, because of the nature of services that I have been engaged in. So I get a lot of time to hear, so that my hearing goes at least about the really substantial time in a day. So thank you very much for all this. And I have never met you in person, but only through your lectures I know, and I appreciate. And there is another, of course, couple of admirers that who really share your lectures so wonderfully. So I think they will be here when you are coming to the temple and giving a lecture. I'm just looking forward for that. Thank you so much for your time to come over here and then scheduling these lectures. Thank you very much.
Thank
Hare
you
Krishna.
so much. Hare Krishna. So I'm very grateful to all of you. If I understand correctly, we are meeting today evening or tomorrow morning, of course, for the part 2 of the Bhagavatam class. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhu, for your time and very nice class. So